This episode is sponsored by JMR Rentals, professional digital cinema and broadcast rentals in Brooklyn, New York. To find out more, visit their website, jmrny.com. Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend, where we go behind the scenes and talk to the creators of independent entertainment. I'm Jason Godbey, and today on the program, we're going to be talking about the films featured at We Are One, a global film festival. There's a lot to talk about, so we're going to get right to it. Joining me now via Zoom, she is the founder of NYC Webfest, Miss Lauren Atkins. Welcome back, Lauren.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun covering the We Are One Global Film Festival. I've had a great time.
Thank you for all your hard work, and it's great to see you.
I know, it's so nice to see people.
Even if it is through a computer screen. I'll take
That's
what I
right.
can get these
Me
days.
too.
This is, as at the time of we're taping, this is about 13 weeks of isolation.
Yep.
We're all going a little batty at this point. But
Yeah.
so I want to talk about We Are One, a global film festival. 21 different festivals contributed to this thing. It's unprecedented and never seen anything like this.
It's crazy they were able to pull it off.
Yeah, that was kind of a big miracle too.
Yeah.
Give me your overall impressions of the fest and kind of how you found the whole streaming thing and all that.
Well, streaming, I didn't find a problem just because I'm used to it with NYC Webfest. We are used to screening things on our laptops. I mean, I have Apple TV, so I could also, if I wanted to stream something and see it on a flat screen, which we would do generally with our submissions, we might watch some of the potential award nominees on a bigger screen, just so we can get a picture of what it'll look like in a theater. So for me, watching something on a laptop didn't feel strange. I found like certain technical discrepancies sort of bothered me. Like I'd be looking for something on the YouTube page and not being able to find it, and on the We Are One website and not being able to, like I almost had to like Google it separately. But other than that, there were things about it I really liked. I liked on the We Are One website how it would give a description of each project. I thought that was really cool, and they would give a visual, like a photograph. I thought it was well done in that way, in that before you watch something, you could do a little bit of research and you found out the players that were involved. I like that the cast and credits were on there as well.
Yeah, I like the way it was curated. I thought the films were everything I saw was good.
Me too.
I thought the level of films was very good. I mean, and what do you expect? I mean, these are the top tier film festivals from around the world.
Yes.
So, they get a lot of the good stuff. And as I had said in my preview episode, we're not going to see the big names behind this. We're not going to see Hollywood films. We're not going to see, stars and things like that. Although they were a part of it. They did like intros and things like that.
Yeah, they were a part of it.
Yeah, which was cool. And I think that was part of the draw in. But as far as the films themselves, there are lots of documentaries, lots of shorts, lots of indie feature type stuff. And I think docs was probably the biggest category.
Yes.
And then they had, and there was like a billion shorts. I saw so many shorts.
Were so many, I know.
Which is great because a lot of those filmmakers are not going to get this kind of exposure in a normal situation.
I can tell you as somebody who has a web festival, there has been a snobbery in terms of watching things online. And I just wonder if this isolation period has changed some of that, because let's face it, those celebrities are sitting at home too, right? They're not walking a red carpet. They're not on a talk show. They're doing everything virtually, just like the rest of us. So you wonder if people maybe won't snob it as much. I'm using snob loosely, but the industry has kind of snobbed it.
Maybe it's a level playing field now.
Yeah, I agree.
And also this type of thing, like what we're doing and what lots of other people are doing with, Zoom or other different types of streaming software. It's kind of leveled the playing field, and the redundancy and the delays have been really worked on, because remember, this used to be terrible.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
This used to be just awful. And now you have major celebrities doing it from, like Stephen Colbert is Zooming
Yeah.
with somebody in England,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So,
And people are doing Instagram Live. Like
right.
for the first time in their lives, they're doing
Right.
Instagram Live. Yeah.
So it is interesting, and I do wonder, and maybe I don't know, I dare say hopeful about the future when it comes to stuff like this. But this, this kind of really showed what I thought was really quality work,
Yes.
done by maybe some people you haven't heard of, but quality work nonetheless. And who knows, maybe this kind of exposure will help some of those films
I hope
either,
so.
Gain distribution or gain popularity or get some more downloads or, at least get exposure for the filmmakers and the people involved. Since you are our web series guru and have probably seen more webisodes than any one human.
Oh my gosh, so many.
We had you covering the webisodes and the TV stuff. So
yes.
just tell us briefly, you covered the web series. Let's
I
just go through
did.
that stuff briefly and just kind of give me a overall, like, what stood out.
So I covered the web series component. There was only 3 of them, which I was actually surprised, just because I know that a lot of the major film festivals now include a web component. I think almost just a way to reach young filmmakers, for one, and 2, because they were partnered with YouTube. So I was a little surprised by that. So the first web series I watched was called Jaws, Assembling of a Top-Tier Team, by Lessons from the Screenplay, and they featured Tirzu. Now, those 2 players, Lessons from the Screenplay and Tirzu, are big-time YouTubers. They combined, they have over 3 million followers or subscribers on YouTube. And it was really cool. Like, if this had been a submission for NYC WebFest, it would probably get an original concept nomination, because it was Lessons from the Screenplay analyzes scripts, and then Tirzu uses a gaming sort of grade to analyze things. And what they did is the 2 of them combined and analyzed Jaws, which I thought was from 1975, Steven Spielberg's classic, the original summer blockbuster. So I thought that was really fun. And what they did was they analyzed the screenplay to see if they built a proper team and, to kill the great white shark, which I thought was really funny. And yeah, they worked together. How they would do it was the host, Michael, someone from Lessons from the Screenplay, he would give us the rundown of the script, and then the gentleman at Tirzu would grade it. So I thought that was really cool, and it was fun. I mean, Jaws, I love Jaws. There are a couple of Spielberg movies, Jaws and Jurassic Park, that I will always watch over and over again. So for me personally, I found it enjoyable just because I also love that movie, but it was funny. All right. So now, am I going on to the next web series?
So the next thing was the stories that prepared us.
Yeah.
Which you also covered, which was interesting.
It was interesting.
It's a little scary, actually.
It was actually scary. So that comes from Jack Nugent. I hope I'm just saying his last name correctly, from the channel Now You See It, on another big YouTuber. They have over 900,000 subscribers. And Jack and another director, Andrew Fernandez, they took a bunch of different clips from films, like just forever, like so many different movies. Jaws actually was in that, so I thought that was kind of funny. And they talked about, they took little clips and sort of analyzed it and how it could be used in a way that warned us of coronavirus. So just the warning that there was a virus coming. They used a clip from Pandemic, I believe, as well, and Contagion. And then the isolation during it, and they would use clips from The Martian, like when Matt Damon was like, digging up a potato for dinner. And then they would also look at afterwards, the isolation, the apocalypse. I'm joking about the apocalypse. So it was kind of cool how they did it. I don't know how they went through all of those films. It must have taken them forever. And even just to get the clips, just right, it just must have taken forever. I found that they could have even used less clips. For me, I found it it was overwhelming, but still really cool how they did it. In my opinion, I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, after a while, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was like, this is more draining than the virus. It's like, right? Like, it's like,
yeah, you're like, please don't remind me, man. I'm stuck in my house watching this thing.
That's right. So it was a little overwhelming that way.
Yeah. And then the next was the French piece, and I always
Yes,
apologize for my French. Uh,
Sébastien Tellier, I believe, on a
Sébastien Tellier. Uh,
Paris rooftop, and they called it a takeaway show because it was almost like this concert, but for no one because we're all in isolation. These videos all reminded us that we were in isolation. I really, really liked it because it was so quiet and calming, and it almost took us out of the fact that we were in isolation, but also reminded us that we were. So basically, the singer is on a Paris rooftop. It's him and a drummer, and he just sings a couple of songs. One's in English, a couple are in French, and it's at sunset, and you just see this beautiful view of Paris. And it was just, for me, I found it sort of like a balm for the soul, like just calming and not too long. Like they really knew what they were doing. I love when a web series knows not to drag it out too long and not to cut it off too short. I thought it was well done.
yeah, I thought it was very soothing and lovely, but
Hmm.
again, almost looks like a science fiction movie when you see a guy like staring over like Paris and there's
And
nobody
it's
in the streets.
empty, empty.
It's like a I don't know. It does. I mean, I think we all feel like we're living in a sci-fi movie
Yeah.
right now, but it was still it was very nice. I thought that things like that would be a little bit more substantive, like there would be more story and things like that.
Yeah. But I almost like that it wasn't, if that makes sense. It was almost like a bit of a break, but you're still aware of what's going on because when are the streets of Paris in springtime empty? Never. So I thought that was kind of cool. I just liked it. I think it was a nice little escape. It was almost like a little short that was about nothing, but it was still well done. I thought for something that was shot in the roof during it's one of those, maybe from watching so many web series, I thought the sound was really well done. Like you could hear his shoes on the roof, and you could still hear the outside. I thought there were some cool things about it. It was well done.
It did give you the feeling of like it was a live thing that was just
Yeah.
happening, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
but for no audience because we're
For no
all
audience,
alone.
yeah. So let's move on. The next
Okay.
project was a longer form, was a
Yes.
television series out of Israel
Yes.
called Losing
Losing.
Alice. What did you think of that one?
I loved Losing Alice. Like, first of all, it's my type of jam. Like, I'm more of a Stranger Things person than say a This Is Us person, right? Like, I like a little bit of surreal. But everything was really well done. So if we tend to recycle their content, I can understand why, because I feel like it was perfectly casted. The music was so, so well done. You'd be watching like just a happy family, but the music would kind of go scary, and you're like, and so it just kept you watching over and over again to see what was going to happen. I thought the performances were very well done. And what I really liked about it, now we only got to see the pilot, it was the world premiere, but what I liked about it is that it set it up for the rest of the series. So Alice is a director who's frustrated with her life. She's kind of bored. She's a writer director, and she hasn't really been writing anything, and then meets a screenwriter on the train, and she just, looks like she's looking for trouble. So there was almost like a weird attraction between these two ladies. And we find out Alice is also married to a famous actor. So it's almost, by the way it ends, it's set up so that this young screenwriter that Alice meets on the train had sent her husband a screenplay. It's just set up so that the three would end up working together, the actor, the screenwriter, and the director. So it just sort of sets it up in a weird, surreal way as to what is going to happen with the series. And I know that it is premiering. I believe that the network is called Hot, HOT, in Israel. It may have even have started now, and they're looking for distribution worldwide.
I thought the premise was interesting. It's very rare that you see something. Well, I mean, being about the movie business, we've seen that a bunch of times,
Hmm.
but very rarely do you see something with a female director.
Yeah.
Usually it's a female actress. It's usually the star or
Yes.
something like that. But
And then the husband's the director.
the husband's the director. That's usually the formula. They kind of flip the script on this one a
Yeah.
bit, which is interesting. And I understand there's like some thriller suspense elements in it as well.
Yeah.
and there's going to be some mystery. So it looks interesting.
And that was, I believe, through the Jerusalem Film Festival. And you said there was 21, right? Like there were so many great film festivals.
Yeah, there were. That's what I read. It was 21 different film festivals from around the world. We listed some of them in our preview episode,
Mhm.
but it was just too many to keep track of, quite frankly. And I think some of those film festivals might actually do something later this year. If they, like, I don't know if Toronto is a part of it. I don't know if they're going to do
Yes.
anything later. So we're going to try and keep the audience up to date on that. But everything is up in the air right now.
Everything's up in the air.
All right, let's move on to our next, which
Sure.
was the comedy out of Japan
Yes. From the
uh,
Tokyo Film Festival.
from Tokyo Film Festival, Tremble All You Want, which is
Yes.
like a quirky little comedy about some like teenage girls in
Yes.
Japan. I happened to see some of it, which I thought it looked cool. I watched some of it, but my Apple TV doesn't have subtitles, so I watched like the first half of it in Japanese. Had no idea what was happening, but I thought, oh, this looks interesting and funny.
What I enjoyed about it, and I'm glad that when it premiered, I just happened to have it on live because they did do a small Q&A with the director at the very beginning. And she did say, this actress, her name, I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it. So it's Mayu Matsuka, I believe. It's her first starring role. And she really is that there's amazing actors throughout it, but she really carried that whole film. She was fantastic. I can't believe that it was her first starring role. But the director did say that, it's based on a book by the same name from 10 years ago. And the director said that this actress, Yoshika is her name in the film, she's sort of social distancing from everyone. And watching it when we're actually social distancing is in real life was quite interesting, because you're watching her interact with all of these people, but we never know anybody's name, and you wonder what's real and what's fantasy, and you're kind of waiting for it to come to a head, and it does in the film, and it's really beautifully done. So it's like a romantic comedy, but also an art film, which was really, I enjoyed it a lot. I thought the actors were excellent. And apparently it had already been released in Japan, and the director was saying that the character is sort of really self-absorbed, and she didn't know how people would react to a young female that was so selfish. But they actually the feedback that she got was they really adored her. And you're rooting for her the whole time, which is a testament to Maya's acting.
I thought it looked interesting. It also jumps around quite a bit.
Yes.
It seems to like sort of jump around in time, and you're never really quite sure where you are.
That's right.
I thought the performance was very strong. It was also a type of movie, how many Americans are going to see that film?
Right.
Like in YouTube, I think at the end they had 250,000 subscribers to that.
Yes.
To the We Are One channel, which is great. But I don't know how many people are going to seek that out, but at least it gave people the opportunity to see something like that,
And you wonder too, in terms of distribution, like you just don't know. I watched when this all first happened and we were all being shuttered and nobody knew what was going to happen with film festivals. I did watch a couple of discussions, and they were talking about how film festivals, because everything's shut down right now in terms of production, in a year or even less than a year, companies are going to be looking for content. So maybe they'll take a look at some of these indie films, which they never would have before. Because it's not like the film isn't well done. It's high quality. It's,
Yeah, I feel like there is quality stuff out there. The question is, where's the audience for it?
That's right.
Can we find the audience for it? And, the hope for any of these people is to get either distribution or a bigger distribution.
Yeah.
I think Japan's biggest, issue coming to America is the language barrier.
Yes.
And a lot of Americans, not wanting to read subtitles. But then you had, Parasite won from Korea, won Best Picture last year. So
Jason, I just saw it last night. I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah,
I finally saw it. I know. Sorry to
but if that can do it, maybe some of these other things can break through. And probably what will happen too is we tend to Americanize things here.
Yeah.
So that maybe if somebody loves this movie, some American director will buy it and remake it for English speaking people.
Yes.
Anyway, we're running low on time, so let's
Oh,
move on
sorry.
to the next one. No worries. So the documentary Rudeboy,
Yes.
the story of Trojan Records. I saw that. I thought it was really well done.
So good.
Really good looking film. Great interviews. Very, like, everybody seemed very frank, like
Yeah.
very open, and just talk. I don't know who the filmmaker was or what his relationship was to the subjects, but it did feel like there was like a very good rapport there.
Yeah,
Like,
it was very intimate.
yeah,
So this director, I'm looking it up, Nicholas Jack Davis. So he's worked with a lot of different musicians. That's kind of his thing. It's music video. I believe he's won a Grammy already, and a few VMAs for music videos and documentaries. So there's definitely something about his rapport with music. What was really cool in this documentary is that we have someone being interviewed, and then they would be talking about the song, and then next thing you know, they'll be like singing a line from, like, it was just really, really well done. And other people might be self-conscious to sort of behave like that, but he got that from several people. I thought he was, yeah, he knew his stuff, definitely. And you
uh,
felt like you were talking one-on-one to these singers.
yeah, and the reenactments I thought were really done well too,
Yeah.
because that's the hardest thing. Is like when you do a talking head interview as a filmmaker, it's like, okay, how am I going to illustrate this? How am I going to
Yes.
show it? But the
Yes.
way they did it, it looked exceptionally good. Like really nice cinematography, very good production value,
Yeah.
and it also, for a guy like me who, I mean, reggae is not the first on my playlist,
Right.
but it taught me a lot about that music and how a
Yeah.
lot of this stuff came about. And we had a British invasion in this country in the 60s, but they had a Jamaican invasion
Yeah, which
over
is really,
there.
really cool.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, and there is British influence in that music,
Absolutely.
which is, I thought, was just fascinating, and really something to learn about. And this film, if it hasn't already, I'm sure will get distribution somewhere.
Mhm.
So Rude Boy, the story of Trojan Records, definitely one to recommend and check out.
Yes.
And then you also caught, which I didn't, Traveling While Black.
I
Uh,
did. It's a documentary. I didn't end up writing a review about it because I think it may already have been on television. I don't know where though, and also, like, I'm in Canada right now, so I don't know what channels things are on here. But I thought it was excellent. I feel like it was very telling. It talks about history, but then it also talks about what's happening right now. I also caught a film called Air Conditioner that was really good out of Africa. I really thought this whole experience was really cool with the different types of content that they showed. And that was out of Angola, which was really cool as well.
I thought the interesting thing was the different cultural views, and on our next episode with Bill Hammond, he covered a lot of the animation stuff,
Hmm.
and that was really interesting, different styles. And if you're a film fan, this gives you a kaleidoscope of stuff to look
Yes.
at. And if you're a filmmaker and you're bored out of your mind sitting in your house, this hopefully would give you a lot of inspiration
Hmm.
and things to look at that you don't normally get to see.
Yeah.
Because even though we get especially, I'm a New Yorker, so we see everything and we get everything. But, somebody in Kansas, some filmmaker in
Yeah.
Kansas could have been watching this stuff and been totally inspired by a film out of Africa or England or whatever.
Right.
And that's a good thing. I mean, I think ultimately the idea was good in terms of the way it was handled. I wish I would have seen more marketing for it. Like, I
Me
wish I
too.
would have seen, but film festivals in general, I think, fall down in the marketing, you
Yeah.
know, because it's like this little insular club. And, I'm always a proponent of, no, you should be getting fans in seats, you
Yes.
know. But the festivals that were all involved, like, I don't think any of them normally have to advertise.
I agree.
Like when Tribeca hits New York, it's a huge
It's an
event.
event. Yeah.
When Cannes happens, it's the only thing happening in
That's right.
Cannes.
Same with Toronto.
But for this, so you're trying to reach a broader. But I didn't literally see an ad for it on Instagram or Facebook
Me neither.
until like the Monday before was the
Yeah.
soonest I saw one. So I mean, it's good
It's
that
almost like if you weren't in the industry, you wouldn't have known about it.
I did feel like it was a little bit of a inside baseball kind of conversation, and it shouldn't have been. But
No.
hopefully, we don't know. I mean, the speculation of like, will this be a part of film
Yeah.
festivals in the future from now on?
I
You
think that
know,
if this turns out to be something that really changes lives for some of these filmmakers, the film festivals will take notice.
I hope
I
so.
think.
I hope so. I think,
Especially for the international ones.
yeah, because it's like I said, like not a lot of those people aren't going to get seen.
Hmm.
We're not going to know who they are. But I think Sundance did something with Amazon earlier this year,
Right.
and we had this. We'll have who knows what will happen in the fall, but this we're still affected.
Yeah.
This whole thing is still happening,
Yeah.
and it's day to day. So, but it does things like this kind of give me a little bit of hope for the future.
Me too.
So hopefully that will be we'll be on to. I mean, hopefully we'll be able to go to film festivals in the future. Uh,
Yeah.
for the most part, they did a great job at curating. There's some things that could have.
Especially considering the amount of festivals and I'm sure politics and stuff that went with it.
Yeah, there's politics, streaming rights, probably last minute additions, last minute
Mhm.
scratches off
Yeah,
the.
yeah,
I'm sure that happened, and that's probably why we didn't see the advertising until late because they didn't know what they had. Like they didn't
right.
publish the schedule. I wanted to do an episode the week before. I had to do
Yeah,
one of the week of because we didn't get the
right.
schedule until like Tuesday of what was going to show.
Yeah. If
So
there's one thing I mean, it would have been nice to just have something for press beforehand, like what you were saying, whether it was, screeners or just a bit more info on the world, because there were a few world premieres. I think Rudeboy was pretty recent, and definitely Alice was. So, or Losing Alice. So for press, it would have been nice just to, you know,
that would have been great. But it was great that we got because normally it's like the show doesn't have the budget to fly to Cannes, so I'm happy to see anything from Cannes.
yeah, me too.
You know,
Me too.
um,
That was great.
anyway, I'm gonna wrap up. Thank you so much,
Thank
and
you so
we'll do
much.
another episode when we know what's going on with NYC Web
For
Fest.
sure, for sure. Yes.
And
Wish me luck. Well, that's going to be decided within a few weeks.
good luck to you, and thanks for all the contributions. I'd love to have
Oh, you're
you write for
welcome.
us again
For
and
sure.
do shows like this. It was lovely having you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And that's all we have time for today. Thanks so much for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. Tune in next week for part 2 of our recap of We Are One, a global film festival. And for more of our content, visit our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. Don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Once again, want to give a big shout out and a thanks to the folks at JMR Rentals for sponsoring us. You can find out more about them at jmrny.com. And thanks to Lauren Atkins for her reviews and insight. She's swell, and we'd love to have her back on the show. For Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.